Hello there, people. I got some sunlights in my face. It's cold here and I need all the D vitamins I can get, so I hope you're okay with my part of my face being somewhat lit up. But anyway, I got a challenge. I'm looking at some stuff over here also. But yeah, I got a challenge. I got called out. I got told that I'm a Linux hater, a FOSS hater. Why don't I say something positive about Linux and stuff like that? I will. And I will clarify if I am a Linux hater or a FOSS hater. But before that, comment, like, subscribe, go onto my Discord and blah blah, all that jazz, Linux or not Linux YouTube jazz that you have to do nowadays. Do I hate Linux? Let's look at it from that. Do I hate the operating system Linux? No, I fucking love it. Okay? It's my favorite OS. Well, BOS is my favorite OS, but it's my third to favorite OS. And Mac OS is beneath Linux, Windows is beneath Linux. FreeBSD is on par with Linux, if you ask me. So you're like, why am I making all of these crazy videos? Why am I swinging my turkey around and slapping people in the face with my tea bags and calling them X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah? Well, because as much as I like Linux and I love Linux as a technology, I hate what accompanying it. So let's clarify that in a little bit and watch the videos to the end, because I'm tired of debating with fucking idiots. And yes, you are idiot if you're commenting on a video you have not watched the whole video of. I'm sorry to say it. Where they are, you're doing this, you're saying this, where I'm clarifying it later in the video, or I am explaining myself later in the video. If the videos are too long for you to keep your attention, don't comment, okay? Please don't comment. You make yourself look foolish. That's why it's stupid to comment on videos you have not watched the whole fucking shit of. My previous video about, brain-rotted Linux users, I say exactly what I'm talking about right now. What do I mean by I don't like what's accompanying it? So, I don't like the Free Software Foundation. I'm not a FOSS hater, I like free and open source. But not for the reasons you think, and I'll get into that in a bit also. But I don't like what the Free Software Foundation is standing for, doing, and how they're conducting themselves as a community and as a unity. I like a lot what they stand for. I like that the openness of the code. So here's the reality of things. Maybe we should explain this first. There is free software and then there is open source software. Those two things are not the same. That's why it's called FOSS, free and open source software. Because the free software people are with the Free Software Foundation's philosophies and blah blah. They are following a different mindset, and I'm highly going over this fast and on a high level. The open source movement or initiative, or what you will call it, are more the practical side of it. If I should pick a camp, I'm an open source movement person. What that means compared to the Free Software Foundation. The Free Software Foundation, or the free software ideologies, thought patterns, what you will call it, basically. It's what I call the colder side of Linux. They don't care about much other than politics. For them, open source, Linux, technology is a way to be a political activist. They are all about freedoms without giving you freedoms. I should make a video about that also, by the way. They love judging people, telling people what to do and blah, blah, blah and all that. Basically, all of the people I make fun of and I criticize on my videos are FOSS people. Or not FOSS people, so Free Software Foundation people or Free Software Foundation loving people. Open source, they don't care that much about that. Open source, the open source movement, gladly work with proprietary software, gladly work with industries that uses a lot of proprietary software, gladly work with Windows and Microsoft and Apple and all those things, because they understand that on a practical level, we all are living in the same world. We should all be able to work together as a unity instead of fighting each other. Even if I have one belief or one idea that you may not follow. That's what the open source people are at for the most part. They are like, we just want to promote open code, that you can see and modify the source code. We don't want to force you. We don't want to put it on a pedestal. We don't want to be coming out like we have found the holy grail of fucking society and computing, and any other pesky fucking users are bad people and are ruining the world. No, open source people like, this is just another tool in the tool bag. This is just another way of doing things. And that's why I don't like Free Software Foundation and the Free Software Movement. It's not the same as open source. Richard Stallman hates the open source movement. He says it all the time. It is in his documents. Go read the fucking Free Software Foundation website. It's clearly dictated in there that he don't like open source. Like, I have a video, I think it's called Linus versus or Linux versus the Free Software Foundation, something like that, where Richard Stallman say in an interview that he don't care about security, stability, and anything in that nature as long as it's free software. He'd rather have you running an operating system that can see all your dirty fucking search histories, all your donkey dickies, and all your little fiddle dingle doogle stackles that you're watching on the internet. He'd rather have you run a system that gives you allow people to snoop that and see that if it's free software, where the open source people, they actually care about your privacy. They actually care about security. They actually care about stability and providing a good system. To draw it in really fast and easy here, I know I've been rambling along for a bit here, is that Linus is an open source guy. Richard Stallman is a FOSS guy. A free software guy. That's the distinct. Linus don't like Richard don't like Linus. They just, have a symbiotic relationship, so to speak. But they don't like each other. Linus don't like a lot what the Free Software Foundation are doing. The Free Software Foundation don't like a lot what the open source Linus Torvalds group are doing. The sad reality is that the terminal online, I will call them idiots again, because it is idiotic to do this. People that are commenting on a lot of Windows videos, Linux videos, coding videos, anything that has to do with anything in tech, and are talking about Linux are the free software people. I will use the word free software so you know what I'm talking about. Not open source people, for the most part free software people. And they are obnoxious. And, if you're using this, let's say, you're using Windows, so you must not like freedom. I do like freedom. But you can say that about anything. You are using a phone. You must be pro child labor. You must be pro fucking, people working themselves to death. You like that shirt. You must be pro-China. Or, you like that shirt, you must be pro-Germany or pro-fucking Spain or whatever you like. The world is not like that, okay? Most people don't give a fuck about. If you want to be holier than they, that's what a lot of free software people, they want to feel like they're this superior human race in technology. For you to be that, you have to fucking be consistent. You cannot sit and play Microsoft for doing something and then riding Google's fucking penis all the way up to your fucking throat from the ass because they are giving you some Linux stuff, or the same with Valve. There is no, Valve is the uncategorically worst fucking publisher on earth, or game storefront on earth. They have a monopoly. They are constant legal battles all the fucking time. But, they are helping Linux gaming, therefore we are... No. That's what I don't like. That's what I hate, that fucking mentality. But here's the thing. Most free software people are only free software people when it's convenient. Because like I said, give up your smartphone. You're probably running Android. Put something in. Heck, you should not even run a phone. You should run like a fair phone, or what they're called, where all the minerals and stuff that in it is produced in a fair way, with fair wages, with union labor and stuff like that. You're not going to do that. You're not going to, buy clothes and conveniences from places that are more expensive, but actually are helping promoting the freedom that you want. You're not going to do that. You are only an activist, or you're only a free software person, or coding activist, what you call it, when it's convenient for you. That's all, that's it. And when you're getting a lot of free shit. I don't like that. I hate that. That goes against everything in my human being. What I love about Linux is that when I came into Linux almost 30 years ago, it was not about that. Yes, we were fighting about package managers and all that fucking shit, but in the end, everyone was friends. We would have friendly banter like friends do, but in the end, we were all friends because we were all using Linux. Yes, I may like X, you may like Y, and we will have a funny fucking banter with disagreement why one is better than the other. But in the end, it was like, hey dude, you're a Linux user, I'm a Linux user. Isn't that fucking great? And it was not so much, there were of course people that wanted, out with proprietary software, out with Microsoft and all that fuck. Of course there were people like that. But most people were like, we don't particularly like Windows. We don't particularly like what, those kind of companies are doing. But hey, you know what? Let people do whatever they want. And that to me is the absolute maximum power of freedom. Having freedom and having choice means that I have the freedom and the choice to do stuff you may not agree with. You may not even like. That's freedom and choice, is to be able to be free to be different. And Linux lack that a lot in the Linux circles right now. It's taking that away from what I loved about Linux back in the day. Heck, I used to talk to a lot of people dual booting back in the day because that was the only really option you had, part-time Windows, part-time Linux. Most people didn't have a problem with that. And some people been running like really sketchy fucking Linux distributions that were doing a lot of bad shit, to be honest. And yes, we would be like yapping like fucking teenage girls about them sometimes, but in the end, we were just happy that there was a Linux out there. The fun thing, one of the funniest example of it is that I'm not joking here, ever since the late 90s, the community has yelled. They have like nipple twisted themselves into raging fucking fists about wanting a universal package format. Now we have kind of three. We have two that's really, really taking off and one that's really, really taking off. But they don't like the snap package because it's done by Canonical and it's proprietary backend, or well, it's actually only the storefront that's proprietary, but whatever. Blah, 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 and all that fucking shit. Well, you could just make your own fucking backend, make your own storefront. You can still make snap packages on your own. Do that. They don't want to do that. And then they're promoting flat packages, and then when they are kind of becoming a little bit of a, maybe we should not use them, we should use app images instead. Now they are attacking flat packages and snap packages. Please help me understand that. It makes no sense. Even, like, I get you don't like flat packages or snap. I'm more a snap guy myself. I just find them more convenient to use, easier to use. They have the biggest selection. That's just my standpoint on it. I get if you like flat or Flatpak, or if you like, the app images, go nuts. Do you, boo? But I like snap packages, and I should be allowed to like snap packages and not be fucking castrated every time I mention anything that comes from Canonical or anything like that. Because Canonical is the fucking most the company has done the most for Linux. The most. And compared to any other companies, they are also the most wholesome fucking company out there. Yes, more and more people are waking up to Red Hat actually being a fucking bad company, okay? They are really waking up for it, like almost 30 years into them existing. Good. SUSE is neutral, if you ask me. Not OpenSUSE, but the company SUSE. Canonical, in my humble opinion, they are also neutral. Canonical here's the thing. The community wants something. Canonical tend to do it if there's enough voices that want it. But of course they're going to do it the Canonical way. They're going to do it that makes sense for Canonical to do it. Like, you are not owed or entitled or own anything that Canonical do just because it's open software or free software. They put in the money, they put in the fucking effort, they put in the developers for it. Let them do it in the way they do. And if you want to do something different instead of sitting and telling them how to do that job. But most free software people love telling other people what they should do, how to do it, and blah, 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 for then just take their fucking simp asses into the basement again and never talk to anyone. They are all talky, no axy. They don't want to do action. Canonical do action. And yeah, Canonical have done a lot. Like, in the beginning, I was highly critical about snap packages. I had a community manager on one of my streams where I was like ripping snap packages a new ass for like an hour. And had a really good conversation with that person at that time. It was a few years ago now. And they have really turned that around. That's one of the things that I hate that are taking the love away from the Linux community with me, is that the Linux community, and again, mostly the the free software people, they are shooting themselves in the foot. They think they are righteous. They think they are, crusaders of the Linux knights or something like that, swinging their tiny penises in the wind. No, you are not. I'm going to tell you something that probably is going to hit hard. Nobody gives a fuck about freedom. Nobody gives a fuck about openness. Nobody gives a fuck about choice. They give a fuck about themselves. And they will give a fuck about freedom, choice, and openness when it's benefiting or making their life easier. So if it's benefiting them or making their life easier. Just like you right now have a phone or using some components in a computer that probably killed a fucking child at some point. You're okay with that so you can watch your anime fucking, sex tapes at night while you're squeezing that little tiny thing off till you get a little bit moist between your legs. You're okay with that because it's not too inconvenient. It's super convenient for you. But if you were forced to pay 5-6 times the amount that you're paying for your electronics today to do the right thing, you're not going to do that. Most people only do the right thing when it's convenient for them. Me, you, everyone. This has been studied to the end of fucking days, by the way. Those free software people are infecting the wholesome Linux community. I've been around on YouTube since YouTube started out. I have watched so much Linux content. I used to do nothing but watching wholesome, amazing, great Linux content creators. There's barely none of them left because they all got booted out or bullied out of doing what they're doing. And that's why you don't see them. That's why you see more popular Linux YouTubers like DistroTube, Luke Smith, Metal Outlaw, and this Titus Tech and all those people. That is really good at telling the free software people, which is the loudest and also most supported group of people out there, let's be honest, what they want to hear. They are real, like a sentence I never heard coming out from a fucking tech YouTuber was support FOSS and show that you're on the right side of history. That's a DistroTube quote, by the way, while he was walking in his garden. I think it was when the first announcement of the NVIDIA going open source or opening part of their drivers open source way back in the day. He said that if you are Linux or FOSS person, you are part of the right side of history. Jesus Christ. Those are the YouTubers that are being looked up to because the free software people are super loud. They are not the majority by far, but they are super loud, super present. They are everywhere. And they are willing, just like any other cult or any other obnoxious group of people, they love supporting people that are engaging them, people that are enabling them is probably the right word. But it goes so much against the Linux that I know and love. The Linux I know and love don't exist anymore. The Linux I know and love where, yes, there were toxic people, but then the majority will be like, hey, go sit in the corner for 5 minutes. I will dick slap you until you're fucking a normal person again. That don't exist anymore. I honestly don't get why it's okay for Linux people, Linux users to be obnoxious in any place online and nobody other than actually Windows and Mac users are speaking up. Why are Linux users that say they want a better community, that say they want the good old Linux back, that say, oh, we have so many loving and amazing people in Linux, why are they not speaking up? Because if they do, they will get the might, and it is a fucking might, of the free software people behind them. And that's not funny, and most people don't want to deal with it. But the free software people has infected Linux like a cancer that are slowly eating up all of the good people in Linux. And that's what I have noticed. I've noticed more and more people, that good people leaving Linux as a content creator, as a promoter, for people that are obnoxious, toxic, cultist, crazy people. That is why I'm doing this. I have tried to be nice. I have tried to say it like in live stream, being nice about it and be like, oh, do you guys remember back in the day, you know, and oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could do this, and helping out and stuff like that. And no matter what people like me do, we will still getting yelled at by the free software people for using the wrong thing, not using the right terminology, it's GNU Linux and not Linux and all of those things. Why should we bother? Like, as a Linux creator, if you are not already established, been around for 10 plus years, you have two ways to go. Either you bend over and let the free software people just ram it up your fucking ass all day and take like a good boy, or you are sucking up to them. You know, like you're becoming their slave. You're just mimicking everything they're doing, while they're also giving it to you from behind and all that fucking shit. It's just crazy to me, and it's I went from wanting t-shirts like this here, you know, I love Linux, this little thing here, From now, I am not telling anyone that I'm running Linux. And it's not because I don't like Linux. It's not because I don't like open source software. I think open source software is an amazing educational tool. But I am fucking ashamed of calling myself a Linux user now. And if you don't believe me, go and see what normal people, normal not in the know, so to speak, people that are not knees deep into the Linux fucking craziness. Go and see what is the stereotypical Linux user. It's a toxic simp or a toxic incel that never showers, live at home, blah, 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 blah. This is not me going and being degrading or anything like that. That is the typical stereotype. When people like, oh, Linux, those crazy fucking cult-like people. That is what people are saying about Linux users. Rightful or not, true or not, but that's what they are saying. And the sad reality is, if there is a stereotype, that basically means that there is some truth to it. It may not be 100% correct, but there is some bones to it. There's some meat on those bones to it. So we have to fucking address it. Mac users used to be known as arrogant and toxic mofos in the 90s. Luckily enough, now they're just known as, woke hippies, to be honest. Windows users, nobody really talks much about them anymore, other than Linux users, or not Linux users, free software people. The love for Linux is something that will never die in someone that likes Linux. But it's something that it's like a guilty pleasure. It's like an unspoken love. It's like you want the boss's fucking daughter, but the second you stick your little penis into her, like you're getting fucking killed, strangled, and feed it to the fishes because her bosses or her dad is like a mob boss or something like that, a mafia boss. But you really want to dip that fucking little turtle into, the salad. And that's how Linux has become. And again, it is the free software people, the Free Software Foundation people. It is them, because it all is the same rhetoric they come from. Like I said, I still want a world where if you want to run a system that spies on you, that takes all your privacy and all that fucking shit, you should be allowed to do it. You should be allowed to sponsor and support whoever you want with your money and your time without being attacked and judged and yelled at and looked down on just for running ones and zeros. That's how stupid this whole thing is. And there is no other place in the tech world that is like this than with Linux. And to the degree, like a lot of people say, oh, well, Windows have their, obnoxious people, PlayStation and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they do. Every group of people have their obnoxious people, but not to the degree that Linux have. And those people have ruined Linux for a lot of people, me included. They have ruined. Linux used to be the thing, my hobby, for over a decade. Everything I did was Linux and open source. Every fucking thing. I worked, I came home, and it was Linux, all the, like I would sit on my laptop in bed or be on my laptop in bed doing Linux shit and fall asleep to it. But the way that it's going right now, the last 10-ish years, I don't see why we should continue. Free software people, they love to dictate what I should use, how I should speak, how I should think, what I should deem to be acceptable and not. Some people live really comfortably and love living in a tight, closed-off world. I have a few friends like that. They love waking up at the same hour every fucking day. Do the exact same thing every fucking day. Not the same thing every day, but they have like a set schedule. And they are not autistic. They've been tested, by the way. But they just love knowing that today it's Monday, I go to work, I do this at work, and they do the same thing every Monday. They go home to either their families or whatever, then they go either working out or go for a walk. They have everything on a schedule. A lot of people like that because it takes choice away from them, it takes confusing away from them. It means they have more resources to think and focus on things that they really, really want to think and focus on. And they're not dealing with a lot of uncertainties and bullshit and blah, 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 blah. What am I doing today? Am I going to get bored today at work? they don't have to deal with anything other than the things they care the most about. And then there are people that just love fucking anarchy all over the place, running around naked, swinging their dicks into everyone's faces, getting sucked off, blowed off, whatever the fuck you want, running around like lunatics. That's how they live the best. And in my opinion, both are right. As long as you're not hurting anyone or doing anything illegal. But the free software people, they're like, I like this. I think this is the best. This is how I think you should be doing things. So therefore, let me tell you and dictate to you how to do a thing. That goes against, in my opinion, what Linux is about. The free software people have made it so Linux is all about choice, their choice. Linux is all about freedom if it's their freedom. Linux is all about unity if you're part of their tribe. I don't on purposely force people or expose people to Linux anymore because I don't want them to, well, maybe not, but there's a high chance that they get exposed to that obnoxious free software people. I don't want to do that. I've seen it too many times where people are, yeah, I like what you showed me, but then I needed help and I got yelled at for like 40 hours online by Asperger. Or I tried to get help, but all they could tell me was I was doing it wrong and using the wrong distribution and or package. They didn't help me other than say that I was doing it wrong, by the way, but yeah. Or I should just go back to Windows because I was an anti-freedom loving idiot. I have seen it so many, like, I can't count how many times I've seen, read, and about this fucking shit. Like, seen it with, like, and heard from people, real people saying this shit. Anywhere from in real life to Discords and people I knew or know in an online capacity for years. I'm not just fucking talking out of my ass here. All of those Spurgers and terminally online idiots that are spewing the free software nonsense, they are only doing it for themselves. It makes them feel better. It makes them feel superior. It makes them believe they are doing something good or part of something better. They don't give a fuck about anyone else, because then they will stop. And when people like me are giving them back the way they are serving it, we are the bad people. We are the obnoxious ones. We are the ones that should stop because we are hurting their feels. That's not how the world fucking works. For all of the fucking shit I've said in all my videos, I've never told someone not to run Linux unless it don't make sense for them. Not because of because I hate Linux, just because I've said that they should not use Linux because I don't think it would work for them. I've never said that Windows should take over Linux. I never said that Mac OS should take over Linux. I never said that Linux was the worst OS on earth, at least not in a joke, not being sarcastically, by the way. I've done it like in fun, just piss off some Linux users sometimes. I have never, let me put it this way. The vast majority of my content is me highlighting, making fun, and being toxic towards toxic people. That's it. I tell a lot of people in my live streams and in comment sections that's like, oh, I want to try this. Go nuts. Go ahead, do it. The only reason why I am the way I am is because a lot of people are ruining my childhood. They are ruining the biggest hobby I have ever had in my life. One of the only hobbies I've had in my life that I've had most of my life, since I was a teenager. I think I started to get into Linux when I was 15 years old. Installing, helping people, giving Linux support. Yeah, I've been dealing with computers since I was 12. Let that sink in a little bit. 12 years old, if not younger, to be honest, have I fixed and messed with computers. Linux has been the biggest part of my life when it comes to IT and computing. Of all other operating system softwares and whatever, open source has been as much as a part. Open source is the reason why I am coding today. Open source is the reason why I have a job I have today. Not free software, but open source. And you guys, the ones that I'm making fun of, are actively ruining that. You're making it so there becomes less people like me and more people that are single, narrow track minded idiots. And I know a lot of people don't like me calling them idiots and brain dead and terminally online. That's because you know I'm right. If a word affects you so much, that's because you know that there is a lot of truth to what's being said. The only people that get offended are people that should get offended. Meaning that they get offended because they are exactly who the person is talking about. If you get offended by my videos, you are exactly the person I'm talking about. You are all of the things that I'm saying, and that's why you get offended, because I'm confronting you with it. and you are like, fuck, that could be me, or is partially me, and that offends you, it should offend you. See you all later. Bye bye.